right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, fellow Pandemonium travelers, this is Seattle Pandemonium Shutdown Day 97, I think. I got off on my count on one of these videos. I believe it's day 97. And the city has fallen to radical left-wing Antifa terrorists. The criminals rule the streets. Who will save us from this madness? Someone fire up the bat signal. That's not quite what's happening. Although, there is the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, which Neon Taster did nail. Hey, you guys missed the opportunity to name it the Capitol Hill Autonomous District, thus making it Chad instead of Chaz. But okay, fine. So it's a 6 or 7 block area, roughly, of people who, of one part of the Capitol Hill neighborhood. And it is, I mean, if you look at it now, at least at the moment, like last night, what it is it's not a lawless hellscape where it's complete bedlam and they're raping each other in the streets and stuff. They're sitting around, they're doing concerts and singing and talking to each other and yelling through megaphones and doing graffiti on boarded up windows and what have you. It's mostly peaceful. Now, the thing is that it's mostly peaceful for now, right? This is how these things work, right? It'll be fine for now while there's still a kind of momentum of the movement that made it come into being. They're replacing street signs and stuff. So there's still some people consciously kind of in control of what's going on, and people are following that lead. But it only takes a certain amount of time before certain kinds of predation set in. And what is this guy's name? They're calling him the Warlord of Seattle, which is also, again, funny. I mean, if you're being hyperbolic, then fine, but, like, it's just sort of funny. What's his name? Simon Paz? Is that his name? Simon Says? I don't know. It's sort of I don't want to say flamboyant. It's sort of a bombastic black dude with dreads, and he's walking around the Chaz with an AK pistol, and you know, he's a rapper, I guess, at least a SoundCloud rapper. So it's one of these things of just like, okay, fine, all right. Given everything that's happened this year, fine, sure. Is he harming anyone? Not necessarily, not really that I can tell. He punched somebody, I guess, and he's kind of intimidated people. I saw another sort of Black Lives Matter activist on Twitter saying that he is abusive to women and stuff like that. That's just something someone else said. I don't know about the guy's character, but it's a sort of focal point of this one guy, and people sort of meme it, and he, you know, now he's the center of attention. And it's fine, whatever. Again, I'm for all of this stuff so long as no one gets hurt. Because what they're trying to do is, with what, this is basically LARPing, okay? Live action role-playing. They're LARPing as revolutionaries setting up an anarcho-syndicalist commune, where they take it in turns, acting as a sort of executive officer for the week. It's... Long term, I don't see how this holds up. This doesn't hold up long term, in my opinion. They're getting resources from outside of the area that they control. They're dependent upon various city services like electricity and water, at some point trash. Are they letting these people in? There are other people having emergencies. There are people who live in this neighborhood, and this is one of the main issues. Is there are people who entered into various forms of contracts, like leases and stuff, and getting business licenses and things to operate in that neighborhood. They are not able to do that anymore, and so these people are in some sense violating their rights And the government is supposed to be there in order to stand up for those rights, including the property rights. And that's not really happening, at which point they become liable for all of this stuff, right? Like, they have to provide the order that justifies the state demanding that people get things like business licenses and follow contracts, right? Now, conversely, at the moment, I believe, we have still suspended things like evictions. So, not just evictions, but like, you can just walk away from a property at this point, is my understanding. And there's not any legal recourse, at least not anytime soon. So, all the people who live in the neighborhood, don't want to live there, can leave. Now, this is also not a peaceful suburban neighborhood. This is Capitol Hill. This is right next to Cal Anderson Park. These people should fully have been aware of what neighborhood they were moving into. Capitol Hill gets wild, okay? Every summer there's multiple block parties and festivals and parades and all kinds of things, pride and all that stuff. So it's not like a surprise that crazy stuff happens on Capitol Hill. So it's it is fair to say, hey, you wanted to live up here. This is the kind of thing that goes on. On the other hand, as always with everything in the last couple months, we are just in unprecedented times, boys and girls. I don't know what to fucking tell you. It is crazy. Everything has gone crazy. But the issue with the Chaz is not so much that it's a real threat to the... I'm stopped on I-5 again, by the way. I'm doing this for you, to document history. It's not so much that it's really a threat to the sovereignty of the city government or whatever that means. I mean, whatever. It's just that it is symbolic of people trying to try something new. And this is the thing about all of the defund the police and all this other stuff. It's the thing we had wasn't working, so we want to try something else. Now, declaring sovereignty declaring secession from the city or from the state or the country, because they put up signs saying, like, leaving the United States. Okay. Let's see what happens. I mean, it's a bit of an experiment. It's not perfect because you don't really have a control for it, but let's see what happens. If there's no police, which the police did take back the East Precinct today, peacefully, maybe this leads to a realization in the police department that they need to have different policies. I mean, is that the issue? Is can you, so this is one of the problems with, a lot of the activism and the BLM rhetoric, is that the police departments are founded on white supremacist, history and like slave patrols and all this other stuff. So you can't fix it. That's their argument. Basically, you can't fix it. Okay, if you can't fix it, then it must then be done away with, or I guess be done away with just for black people. Like, black people can't be policed by even black police, because black police are still police, so it's still perpetuating a system of white supremacy. Again, this is their rhetoric. This is not my problem. This is their problem to figure out. At which point you then replace your police, your city or state, police with something else. And this is the community policing thing. And I understand the idea is we take care of ourselves, so we don't need you to come in and take care of us. But that wasn't happening all this time, which is why all the policing happens in the black community in the first place. Well, in every community, really. Like, people aren't really that good at policing themselves. Because it's hard. Like, sometimes people just lose their fucking minds and start killing people. And you gotta do something about that. And because this happens enough, we have specific specialization of labor, essentially, of people who specifically do this. And they do it all day long, and they write tickets, and those tickets go into the city coffers, for one, whether that's reasonable or not. But they also show up and shoot mass shooters. right? It's a thing. They show up to domestic violence calls, right? So what is going to happen is, I have a feeling, is, again, I'm using this term evaporation. It's just going to kind of evaporate, is my feeling. It's just going to kind of, it'll dwindle down. You'll have some activists. You'll have sort of waves, maybe, kind of people going into the zone and coming out of the zone. And there might be some more memery about it, the warlords and we're running out of food and all that stuff. By the way, they're not running out of food, okay? They have plenty of food. Settle down, everybody. The commies aren't out of food yet, okay? That's coming in a few weeks, maybe. They're planting a garden, like, okay, you're gonna be here for 6 months? What are you talking about? I doubt it. So this is another issue, right? So, capital flight. Again, I keep hammering on this. The city was already facing a crisis of businesses not being open, lowered tax revenues, no commerce from out of state, really, no cruise ships, no conventions, no major league sports. It's all done. All of that commerce is done. Thus, all of the tax revenue is done. It's gone. Now you have literally property owners leasing housing to tenants who the tenants are, in some cases reportedly, not being allowed to come in and out of the neighborhood because the mob has set up checkpoints. Okay, so if you own that property and the tenants move out because I can't live in this neighborhood this way anymore, then you now own a zombie asset that no one wants to own. And if the city allows this kind of thing to go on in more place than one, or in an increasingly expanding area of influence in that kind of they're saying they want to expand, then why would you want to own property here? And why would you want to be a landlord if the city will allow entire neighborhoods to be taken over by not the city? They don't recognize your rights. They kicked a news team out the other day because they were from Fox News, so they kicked them out. You're not allowed to do journalism here. That's how that looks. That's how that plays out. It's them violating their First Amendment rights because it's a mob. They don't have a constitution. They don't recognize your rights. That's it. So again, why would you want to own property that you can't rent to people effectively? Or effectively can't rent to people, or only to people who want to run the streets? But do they have jobs? Are they going to pay rent? I don't know. But you sell that property, you get rid of it. How does it look to everyone else? Oh, I'm out. You're out. I'm out. Capital flight. It's a downward spiral, but it makes sense when you have capital to go, oh, we're out. You're out. We're out too. And that doesn't just mean mom and pops. It can mean the major chain stores too. And then you get lowered foot traffic, which drives more businesses away, and then you get urban blight that is abandoned. You get Detroit. Abandoned factories, abandoned buildings, abandoned apartments. People just leave, and they go somewhere else, and it all decays like Pripyat. So, yeah. I mean, all eyes on the Chaz, of course. I mean, it's gonna be fun regardless of how it works out. I think it's gonna be ridiculous. But we're all gonna learn a little bit about anarchism, communism, and human nature. There you go. There's the takeaway for the day. All right, that's enough from me. Bye.